when I'm doing TV and I got 18, God damn it, can't everybody stop for 10 minutes? I mean, everybody seems that's the only, everybody can we stick, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's not that much to ask. Is that when everybody has to move when I'm trying to concentrate?
Hey, somebody has run out on the field. Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms, bare-chested. Somebody stop
Look
that
out,
man.
here comes the blue coat,
Oh,
Kevin.
they got him.
Here
They're
comes the
coming
blue
from the
coats.
left. Oh, and they tackle him at the 40-yard line.
I'm sorry to explode like that, but it's like no one's ever worked on TV here before.
That was the most exciting thing to happen tonight.
Welcome to the ENFLP, the Egyptian NFL podcast. My name is Muzzy. I am alone today for this week's episode as Abdo went to a Rise Up Summit. I don't know what kind of summit that is. I guess it's a kind of summit that teaches you to be a better person and to rise up in your personality. I don't know why Abdo needs to go to a kind of summit like that, but he's there. Abdo, you're a great guy, man. You don't need to go to no Rise Up Summit. You should be right here with me in the ENFLP, talking about the NFL. We're week 14 now. We have a month to go till the playoffs. You don't need to go to no Rise Up Summit. Actually, for those who don't know, the Atlanta Falcons, their slogan is Rise Up. So maybe Abdo's declaring his love for the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know what kind of love Abdo has for what NFL team. He's all over the place, from the Falcons to the Raiders to the Cardinals. Who knows who he's going to pick eventually. I'm going to start demanding from him to pick an NFL team because this is getting ridiculous. We're almost nearing 2 years and he has yet to pick an NFL team. For those of you who are struggling picking an NFL team, please, please, please do not pick based on how well they're doing currently. Okay? So many people pick based on winning, and then the next year you find out your team isn't winning and then you start losing the love for them. For example, those who like the Panthers last year, they're not doing so well this year. And for those who like the Broncos as well, they don't have a quarterback. You got to find a team who you love the fan base, you love the city, you love the stadium, you love the colors. Focus on things that will always stay the same. Don't pick on winning. Anyway, I want to get started straight away with Week 14. We're going to recap a little bit what happened last week in Week 13. First game was the Oakland Raiders at the Kansas City Chiefs. This was the Thursday night game. Oh, the battle for first place in the AFC West. The Raiders losing to the Chiefs. Wow. Wow, the Chiefs are dominating the Raiders this season. They swept them this year. Hey, you can't look past the Chiefs' defense right now. It's so difficult to do anything against them. They have been a quality defense all year round. Derek Carr was very limited. He got me only 4 fantasy points that game, under 120 passing yards. Wow, the Chiefs. Everyone's been looking at the Raiders to win that division and to be the number 1 contender in the AFC. It looks like the Patriots are there and the Chiefs are there. This is going to be an amazing ending for the AFC West, depending on who wins, the Chiefs, Raiders, or Broncos. So anyway, the Chiefs won that game. They'll be looking to keep it up and hopefully win that division and get a bye week in the playoffs. The Raiders need to come back next week and start winning some games for them. Let's move on to the next game, the Sunday night games, which are going to be 8 o'clock Cairo time. The Pittsburgh Steelers play at the Buffalo Bills. The Pittsburgh Steelers and the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Bills are 6-6. They lost last week against the Raiders in a shootout where Derek Carr destroyed them towards the end of the game. The Bills play a very difficult Pittsburgh Steelers team, which is an underdog going into the playoffs right now. The Steelers have to battle, they have to keep winning because they're going up against the Baltimore Ravens in their division. Both of these teams are 7-5. The Pittsburgh Steelers need to find a way to win this game. Tyrod Taylor is going to go up against a very difficult Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Whether or not he's going to be able to beat them, I don't know. This game is going to be in Buffalo. Buffalo right now are in a very precarious spot because if they don't win this week, I think they're going to be out of the playoffs. If you look at the Miami Dolphins being ahead of them in the division, and then you look at the Patriots being 10-2 in their division as well, the Buffalo Bills are going to struggle to even make a chance for themselves to make the playoffs if they lose this week. This is a must-win game for them this week. I am going to pick the Pittsburgh Steelers for this game because I just think they have a better pedigree going forwards in the playoffs. We'll see what Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown, and Le'Veon Bell do against the Buffalo Bills defense. But I just can't see past the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. So I'm picking the Steelers for this game. Let's move on to the next game. The Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts. This division, the AFC South division, man. Houston Texans are 6-6. The Colts are 6-6. And the Titans are 6-6 now. Any one of those three teams can end up winning the division. But I said it before and I'll say it again. I don't believe in the Houston Texans. Not just because of Brock Osweiler, just simply because of their whole offense right now. This is a team that's 5-1 at home and 1-5 on the road. They are not playing well at all on away games right now. And the Colts are playing at home, so I can't see past the Colts in this game. And another staggering stat for the Houston Texans, they are negative 50 in point difference. They are being outscored the whole season by 50 points in every game. So all the games combined right now, they're negative 50 in points allowed versus points for. So I really think the Houston Texans are going to crash right now. The Colts are going to win this game, and they have a chance to be ahead in the division right now. Andrew Luck is going to pick up some steam and win it for them. Last week, the Indianapolis Colts absolutely trashed the New York Jets, winning 41-10. Monday night game, the New York Jets just kind of imploded there, but we'll talk about them later. But the Texans, the Texans can't get anything done right now. They've lost 3 in a row. And I think they're going to keep going. They're going to keep going. They're going to keep losing games. So I picked the Colts for that game. Let's move on to the Washington team at the Philadelphia Eagles. Another big game for the playoffs. This week is filled with very important games. Losers this week have to say goodbye to the playoffs. It's a must-win game for every team right now. If you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, they lost last week against the Cincinnati Bengals. Who saw that coming? They didn't only lose against the Bengals, they got destroyed by the Bengals 32-14. And the Bengals, having missed A.J. Green, their offense was on fire. All season, the Bengals offense have been struggling, and they beat the Eagles defense, supposed to be one of the best in the league, and they let the Bengals offense completely roll over them? How did that happen? So I've kind of lost confidence in the Philadelphia Eagles going forwards. The Washington team, on the other hand, they're battling for a wildcard spot in the NFC. They're 6-5-1 right now. They have to try to match the New York Giants this season going forwards. And I don't also see them doing anything going forward as well. This game is going to be a toss-up for me. I'm only going to pick the Washington team right now because I have more faith in them going forwards than the Eagles. And both teams are coming off a loss. So maybe I should be picking the home team right now. And you know what? I'm going to pick the home team. I'm going to pick the Eagles for this game. I feel like they're playing at home. It's a toss-up. Why not? I'll pick the Eagles. I think their defense will rebound against the Washington quarterback and Kirk Cousins. And yeah, I picked the Eagles for this game. Let's move on to the Denver Broncos at the Tennessee Titans. Now, I talked a little bit about the Titans in their division, how they're tied with 2 other teams. The Tennessee Titans, it's not the end of the world if they lose this game because of the other teams in their division, but they're going up against a very difficult Denver team right now. And if the Titans win this game, then they're for real. But is Mariota and DeMarco Murray going to be able to do anything against the Denver Broncos defense? Now, the Tennessee Titans had a bye week last week, so they're rested, and hopefully they can create something. And I think they will have a plan. I want to pick the Titans as my surprise pick for this game. Also because I pick bye teams usually, teams that are coming off a bye. So I'm going to pick the Titans for this game, surprisingly. I know it's a hard, surprising pick to make. The Denver Broncos are a good team. They beat the Jaguars. They struggled against the Jaguars, actually, last week. And I think they're going to lose this game against the Titans. Yes, I am very confident with that pick. So I am going to pick the Titans for that game. Now let's move on to the San Diego Chargers at the Carolina Panthers. The first meaningless game of the week for me. The Panthers got absolutely dismantled by the Seattle Seahawks last week. The Seattle Seahawks, having lost to the Buccaneers 2 weeks ago, came out of nowhere. I almost cursed there. Came out of nowhere. And their offense was on fire, destroying the Panthers team completely. The San Diego Chargers, they're not a terribly bad team. They're 5-7 right now. I just don't see them catching up to any of the other AFC teams and earning themselves a wild card spot. I'm picking the Panthers for this game, mostly because Luke Kuechly is going to come back for their defense, so that's going to be vital. They're playing at home. They're going to want to win after they lost so badly against the Seahawks last week. So I'm picking the Panthers for this game. But this game is kind of meaningless in the playoff race. But Panthers are going to win it. Let's move on to the Cincinnati Bengals at the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have yet to win a game. They're the joke of every single person in the NFL. Wow, the Browns. They're coming off a bye week. If they don't win this game, they're not going to win a game for the rest of the season. I am going to pick the Browns for this game because they had a bye week. They had a chance to rest. I think they're going to have a plan going forward. People are saying that RG3 is going to start. I have no faith in RG3. He'll probably get injured, and Kessler is going to come in, or McCown's going to come in. But I'm just picking the Browns because they had a bye week, and they need to win a game. I'm hoping that this is the week that the Cleveland Browns win a game. Next up, the Chicago Bears at the Detroit Lions. Chicago Bears are no longer a playoff team, of course. We've known that for a while now. From the beginning of the season, we said they're going to flop this year, and they have. They are a 3-8 record. The Detroit Lions is trying to run away with their division right now. They're 8-4, 2 games ahead of the Minnesota Vikings. The Lions have won 4 in a row. Last week they beat the Saints, and the week before that they beat the Vikings. Now, the Detroit Lions have only lost 1 game at home this year. Their defense is so difficult to score against. They stopped the number 1 offense in the league in New Orleans last week. Drew Brees had a very difficult game. They stopped his streak of touchdowns. He's had 60 games in a row where he scored a touchdown, and last week he didn't, and that was because of the Lions' defense. The Lions are going to beat the Bears. Don't even think twice about this game. Of course the Lions are going to beat the Bears. The Bears ran away with a game against the 49ers last week. 26-6 in a heavy snow game. But the 49ers were all over the place. They couldn't play in the snow at all. Colin Kaepernick flopped against their defense, flopped against the snow. So I'm picking the Lions for this game. And let's move on to the Minnesota Vikings at the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Minnesota Vikings. They are all over the place now. I don't think there's a team in the NFL that's all over the place like the Minnesota Vikings. Starting the season 5-0, and they are now 6-6. They're luckily going against the Jaguars right now, who are also out of the playoffs, of course. This should be an easy game for the Vikings. I think their defense is going to create a lot of turnovers. I think the defense is going to destroy the Jaguars' offense this game. Without a doubt, the Vikings are going to win this game, and they're going to try as much as possible to stay in the wild card race. Adrian Peterson has been talking about coming back for the Vikings. He said he's not going to come back unless the Vikings stay in the playoff race. What a selfish thing to say, but it's Adrian Peterson. He's full of himself. He always has been, but he's a great player, and he has the right to say that. They will win this game, and Adrian Peterson will come back after it. Now, let's move on to the Arizona Cardinals at the Miami Dolphins. Oh, what a game. If the Cardinals lose this game, and become 5-7-1, they are out of the playoffs. Don't even think twice about it. The Miami Dolphins, on the other hand, they need to maintain winning. They lost last week. Unfortunately, they lost last week, which led to a problem for them because they got destroyed by the Baltimore Ravens offense. They let Joe Flacco have a massive game. 4 touchdowns, 381 yards by Joe Flacco against the Dolphins defense after they were on a hot streak. Man, this game is going to be very, very interesting. The Dolphins are playing at home right now. I want to pick the Dolphins for this game because they've only lost 1 game at home. And the Arizona Cardinals right now have only won one game on the road. So I'm going to pick the Dolphins because of that stat that stands out to me right there. I hope Carson Palmer and the Cardinals win this game, but I just don't see them doing it, unfortunately. Now let's move on to the least interesting game of the week. The least important game in the playoff contention race. The New York Jets at the San Francisco 49ers. Colin Kaepernick is still going to be the 49ers quarterback, even though they benched him last week, having a terrible game in the snow against the Bears last week. I was so disappointed because I picked up Kaepernick for my fantasy team. He was on a hot streak and I was like, yes, Colin Kaepernick is going to help me in the playoffs in my fantasy team. And he had a terrible game against the snow. But this game will not be played in the snow. He will be playing against a very weak Jets defense. So I will be picking the 49ers and Colin Kaepernick for this game. But it doesn't matter anyway. Let's move on to the New Orleans Saints at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The NFC South, what a division right now. Looking at the standings for this division, the Atlanta Falcons have only lost 5 games and they've won 7. The Buccaneers are actually tied with the Falcons. Everyone's been talking about how the Falcons are one of the better teams in the league. If they were one of the better teams in the league, they wouldn't be tied against the Buccaneers right now. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, alright? The Buccaneers are surprising a lot of people being tied for first place in that division. The New Orleans Saints are 2 games behind both of these teams. Now, the Buccaneers and the Saints will play each other this week. And in 2 weeks, they'll play against each other again. The Buccaneers, if they win this game, they have automatically taken the Saints out of the playoffs. No way will the Saints be able to come back and catch up to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Falcons if they lose this game. This is a must-win game for the New Orleans Saints. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a chance right now to lead their way in this division and make the playoffs. I only think one team out of the division might make the playoffs. Maybe one team in it will make a wildcard spot, depending what happens with the NFC North. Obviously, I want to pick my Saints. They had a terrible game against the Lions defense last week. Generally, the Saints have a good record against the Buccaneers. And I do think the Saints are going to struggle a little bit against the Buccaneers defense. But I think the Buccaneers offense will struggle against the Saints defense, who have been playing very, very well. They did play well against the Lions last week. They only let in a couple of bad plays. But that was mostly because they were on the field for the majority of the time. And Drew Brees couldn't stay on the field. So I will be picking the Saints to beat the Buccaneers this week. I'm hoping that the Saints will sweep the Buccaneers in the upcoming 2 games and tie with the Buccaneers in the division. But they will have to hope that the Falcons lose. But hey, I am pessimistic, and I do think the Saints will not make the playoffs. But it's very hard for me not to pick them, as you all know. If Abdo was here right now, he would laugh at me, and he would pick the Buccaneers for this game. I know. Anyway, let's move on to the Seattle Seahawks at the Green Bay Packers. Wow, the Packers are 6-6. Alright, they're tied with the Minnesota Vikings. They're only 2 games behind the Lions. The Packers have a chance for a wildcard spot in the playoffs. The Seahawks, I do not see the Seahawks losing their division. I think the Seahawks will win their division. They will most likely have a number 2 seed in the conference. This game is going to be very interesting because it's in Lambeau. The Seahawks and the Packers have a rivalry going. They've been playing each other the past 4 years now, the Russell Wilson versus Aaron Rodgers rivalry. Russell Wilson has been getting the better of Aaron Rodgers, and I think he will again. Now, will the Packers be able to show up against the Seattle Seahawks? I don't know. They have potential, especially that they're playing at home. And they've only lost 2 games at home right now. And the Seahawks have struggled on the road. So I want to pick the Packers. But the Seahawks for me are the stronger team. So I am picking the Seahawks for this game. Let's move on to the Atlanta Falcons at the LA Rams. The LA Rams. Jeff Fisher got an extension last week. He got a 2-year extension. Say what? What are you talking about? How does that happen? How does Jeff Fisher get a contract extension in the middle of the season when they're playing so poorly? Mostly because of management. Mostly because of the rookie situation at quarterback. Mostly because of the offense situation. Mostly because of mental mistakes that have lost the games for them in the end of the fourth quarter. How can you give a coach an extension when the reason you're losing is management? Now, if the Falcons win this game, they are going to be ahead in their division. So, the Saints fan in me wants the Rams to win this game. And the Rams always have the potential to win these sneaky hard games. But I just can't see past the Falcons. Matt Ryan, Julio Jones. What happened to the Falcons last week? Let's talk a little bit of what happened to the Falcons last week against the Chiefs. Remember I said that Falcons have always the potential to implode towards the end of the season? Well, they had a chance to win the game against the Chiefs in the last play of the game. Matt Ryan throws an interception on a 2-point conversion, and Eric Berry returns it for an interception for 2 points. What? Matt Ryan, what are you doing? Oh, wait, you're being Matt Ryan. Oh, wait, the Falcons are the Falcons. Let's not get too excited about them. This is what they do, and I wouldn't be surprised if they lost against the Rams in a very tight defensive game. Nonetheless, the Rams' defense have been very weak against strong offenses this year. We saw it when they played against the Saints. The Falcons are another strong offense. It's not going to happen, unfortunately. Unfortunately, no. Let's move on to the Sunday night game. A big game. The Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. Now, these teams played in Week 1. The Giants won a very close game. This was the first game for Dak Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott. They lost in the last minute because of a mad mistake by a receiver not going out of bounds. This time, the Dallas Cowboys are 10-1. The Giants are playing at home. It will be very hard for them to sweep them. This is going to be the biggest game of the week. I have no doubt about it. It's going to be in contention with the Seahawks and the Packers, but this is another game to look forward to. I am going to pick the Cowboys because I think the Giants are a good team, but I think the Dallas Cowboys are a Super Bowl contender. If the Giants win this game against the Dallas Cowboys, they will be showing the whole league that they are for real. That they are a good team as well. They lost against the Steelers last week. So, I am picking the Cowboys. Let's see what happens. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to come down to the end. But I can't see past the Cowboys in this game. Let's move on to the last game of the week, the Monday night game. The Baltimore Ravens at the New England Patriots. What a game! Another massive game this week. Man, this week is filled with massive games. The Ravens come off a week where they absolutely destroyed the Dolphins. And the Patriots, they played the Rams last week. They had a pretty good game. They could have ran away with that game, but they still did really well against the St. Louis Rams defense. What a game this is going to be. Are the New England Patriots going to be able to score a lot of points against the Ravens defense? And vice versa. I have a feeling this is going to be a very close defensive game. But wouldn't it be great if Joe Flacco and Tom Brady have a shootout? Wouldn't that be amazing? I hope it's going to be a shootout. The Patriots are playing at home. They are well away into a playoff spot. Their only 2 losses this year have been at home, believe it or not. They are undefeated on the road. So they're playing at home. They're 4-2 at home. The Baltimore Ravens, on the other hand, are 2-3 on the road. I'm going to pick the Patriots. I'm going to pick the Patriots because Tom Brady has always gotten the better of the Ravens. And I think it's going to happen again. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Ravens find a way to win this game. But I still think Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are going to steal that one. Well, that makes up Week 14. I apologize on behalf of Abdo for not being here. And he went to the Rise Up Summit. Hey, it might be a mountain climbing summit. Maybe they're teaching them how to climb mountains. And it's about how to get to the top, get to the peak. Maybe I'm wrong. I have no idea. He did not tell me. He just called me today and told me I have to go to this summit. And I said, all right, we'll figure it out. And I just had to do it by myself, unfortunately. But I did it for all of you listeners out there. Thank you so much for listening to our episode. It's been a pleasure. I am playing Abdo this week, by the way, in our fantasy league, the first round of the playoffs. I am so excited. I am already projecting to be 20 points ahead of him. Whether or not that's going to happen, I don't know. But if I beat him by 20 points this week, and then beat him by 20 points next week, that would be pretty awesome. I am looking forward to taking Abdo out of fantasy. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I can't wait to make the finals of my fantasy league. I hope all of you guys are doing well in your fantasy leagues. If you ever want to get in contact with us and let us know how you're doing, if you have any fantasy questions, please pass it along. It's going to be a very rough month. This is going to be the kind of month, if you want to win your league, you're going to have to depend on available players on the waiver wire, because most likely it would be the surprise player or two who ends up getting a lot of points, not the conventional superstars. You have to find matchups in the playoffs. You gotta find matchups. That's what I always say. You gotta find matchups. That's my beautiful singing voice. Thank you for listening to the ENFLP, the Egyptian NFL podcast. My name is Muzzy, and I want to thank you for listening today. Who that?
One more, I got 69 touchdowns. You know what I mean. Only you know what I mean, baby.
Sorry to explode by that, but it's like no one's ever worked on TV here before.
That was the most exciting thing to happen tonight.